Good morning, Ottoson Middle School students, staff, and honored guests. Welcome to our 25th Memorial Day Assembly. This is a solemn service as we recognize those who serve and who have served in our armed forces. So please be attentive, keep your hands and arms to yourself, listen, and act appropriately. Thank you. We will start this morning with the presenting of the colors, which consists of members of the Arlington Fire Department. Everyone should please rise for the presentation of colors. We are silent at this time. It is my pleasure to introduce our honored guests and members of the United States Armed Forces. Robert McMullen, escorted by family friend Brielle, Marines, Iraq. Bernie Gendron, escorted by great-granddaughter Libby, he turns 100 years old in just 6 weeks, Navy, Korea, and World War II. Tom Mahalko, escorted by grandson Jackson, Navy, Vietnam. Jack Barry, escorted by cousin Nathan, Army, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Mike Covell, Army, Iraq, and Afghanistan. John Roma, Army, Vietnam. Timothy O'Leary, Army, Vietnam. And Robert Topham, Army, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Thank you to our honored guests for your service. Everyone, you may be seated. We are gathered to remember the people who gave up everything to protect our way of life. Memorial Day isn't just about a day off from school. It's about a promise we make to never forget the cost of our freedom. In movies, heroes often have superpowers, but the heroes we honor today were real people. They were once middle school students just like you. They had favorite hobbies, best friends, and big plans for their future. When their country called, they stood up. They showed us that bravery is doing the right thing, even when it's scary. That service means putting others before yourself. And sacrifice is giving your today so someone else can have a tomorrow. When we see the flags at the cemetery or hear the sound of a trumpet playing taps, we are hearing the stories of thousands of brave individuals. They didn't just fight for a flag, they fought for us so we could go to school, speak our minds, and live in peace. We owe it to them to make the most of the freedom they protected. You do not have to be in the military to honor these heroes. You can honor them right here at Ottoson by being a leader who stands up for others, by showing respect to your community and your country, and by learning about our history so that their stories stay alive. Today we say thank you, we remember their names, and we honor their courage. I now invite Lotana Anyamaya, who is going to share with us the history of the national anthem.
The Star-Spangled Banner is the national anthem of the United States. The lyrics come from the defense of Fort McHenry, a poem written by American lawyer Francis Scott Key on September 14, 1814, after he witnessed the bombardment of Fort McHenry from the British Royal Navy during the Battle of Baltimore in the War of 1812. Key was inspired by the large U.S. flag with 15 stars and 15 stripes, known as the Star-Spangled Banner, flying triumphantly above the fort after the battle. The poem was set to music of a popular British song written by John Stafford Smith for the Anacreontic Society, a gentleman's club in London. Smith's song, the Anacreontic Song, with various lyrics, was already popular in the United States. This setting, renamed the Star-Spangled Banner, soon became a popular patriotic song. With a range of 19 semitones, it is known for being very difficult to sing, in part because the melody sung today is the soprano part. Although the poem has 4 stanzas, typically only the first is performed, with other 3 being rarely sung. The Star-Spangled Banner was first recognized for official use by the United States Navy in 1889. On March 3, 1931, the U.S. Congress passed the Joint Resolution 46 Stat 1508, making the song the official national anthem for the United States, which President Herbert Hoover signed into law.
And now, our Ottoson Middle School Band will perform the national anthem. Please stand. I now invite Althea Pruitt up for a history of Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, as we know it today, is a holiday observed on the last Monday of May, honoring the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military, but this always hasn't been the case. Memorial Day grew from a tradition known as Decoration Day. The Civil War, which ended in spring of 1865, claimed more lives than any conflict in U.S. history. More than 600,000 soldiers from both the Union and the Confederate armies fell during the war, leading to the establishment of our country's first national cemeteries. By the late 1860s, Americans across the country were holding springtime tributes to their fallen loved ones, decorating their graves with flowers and reciting prayers. On the first Decoration Day, General James Garfield made a speech at Arlington National Cemetery, and 5,000 people gathered to decorate the graves of 20,000 Civil War soldiers buried there. By 1890, Decoration Day was an official state holiday in the northern states. Southern states, on the other hand, continued to honor their fallen on separate days until after World War I. Memorial Day, as Decoration Day gradually came to be known, originally honored only those lost while fighting in the Civil War. But during World War I, in the United States found itself embroiled in another major conflict, and the holiday evolved to commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars, including World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Memorial Day was observed on May 30th until 1968 when Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, establishing Memorial Day as the last Monday in May in order to create a 3-day weekend for federal employees. This change went into effect in 1971 and also made Memorial Day a federal holiday. The National Moment of Remembrance is an annual event that asks Americans, wherever they are, at 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day, to pause for 1 minute to remember those who have died in military service to the United States. Although the name has changed, the intention to honor those who lost their lives defending our country has not.
I now invite Brooklyn Coriolan, who will read Flanders Fields.
In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the lark still bravely, singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead, short days ago. We lived, fell dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up your quarrel with foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Our guest speaker this morning is Command Sergeant Major Michael J. Covell, Massachusetts Army National Guard. Command Sergeant Major Michael J. Covell Jr. currently serves as the Installation Command Sergeant Major at Camp Edwards on Joint Base Cape Cod, Army National Guard. He has extensive operational experience in both overseas and domestic missions. He supported the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, contributing to a national level security operations. He was deployed to Baghdad, Iraq from 2006 to 2007 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2010, he deployed to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, the Army Achievement Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal with Campaign Star, the Iraq Service Medal with Campaign Stars, the Meritorious Unit Citation with oak leaf cluster, the Combat Action Badge, the Ram's Head device, and the Order of St. Barbara. We welcome up Mike Covell.
Sorry guys, I gotta get my glasses, I'm getting old. All right, good morning everyone. Thank you all for being here today as we come together to honor men and women who gave their ultimate sacrifice for our great nation. For those that don't know me, my name is Michael Covell. I once sat in these same seats as you many years ago. I graduated from Arlington High School in 1997, and I've been coaching with Kevin at Arlington High School wrestling for 26 years. I've served and continue to serve the United States military for 28 years, and during this time, as you heard, I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan with the 101st Field Artillery. Like many veterans, my years in uniform shaped who I am. They taught me discipline, sacrifice, leadership, and most importantly, the true meaning of service. When you deploy to combat, you quickly realize that freedom is not something that simply exists on its own. Freedom survives because a generation after generation of Americans has stepped forward willing to defend it, often at an incredible cost. Today is not about us veterans. We have a special day in November for that. Memorial Day is a significant time of remembrance, allowing us to honor those who never made it home. It's a day dedicated to celebrating the courageous sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, and friends who wore the uniform. These individuals selflessly gave everything they had for a greater cause than themselves. Today, and this weekend, we pay tribute to their sacrifices and bravery. This year's Memorial Day holds a special significance as we approach the 250th anniversary of the founding of America. For nearly 2.5 centuries, American military members have safeguarded our nation, from the Revolutionary War to present day. Americans have answered the call to defend liberty around the world. Think about that for a moment. For 250 years, ordinary Americans have left farms, factories, families, classrooms to don the uniform and protect this country. Some fought in places like Normandy, France on D-Day. Some fought in the jungles of Vietnam. Some fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, like myself. Different wars, different generations, but always the same commitment: duty, honor, and country. The American service member has always represented something unique in history. Unlike many nations, our military is made up entirely of volunteers. Men and women who choose to serve know the dangers that come with that service. And today, fewer and fewer Americans are making that choice. Right now, less than 1% of this country serves the nation. Think about that, how small that number really is. In a nation of over 340 million people, only a tiny fraction are willing to stand and watch and defend this country as everybody sleeps peaceful at night. That reality makes Memorial Day even more important, because as military service becomes less common, it becomes easier for Americans to lose that connection and the sacrifices made. Many Americans will enjoy this holiday weekend with cookouts, parades, time with family. It's the unofficial beginning of summer. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You should enjoy that time. In fact, the freedom to gather and celebrate and live peacefully is exactly what generations of service members fought to protect. But we should never forget why this holiday exists. Memorial Day was born from loss. It was born from folded flags handed to grieving families. It was born from empty seats at dinner tables. It was born from the silence left behind when heroes never returned. I still remember the service. I still remember the men I served beside. One of them, Robert Toppert, is here today in Afghanistan. I remember the long days, the heat, the exhaustion, the humor. Some soldiers somehow find a way to humor in the worst conditions possible. The friendships formed in places far away where race, religion, and politics don't matter. And I remember the loss. On April 19, 2010, one of our soldiers, Robert Barrow, was killed by a suicide bomber in Kabul, Afghanistan. People like Michael Kelly killed in action in Iraq, June 8, 2005, by a mortar round. Those days are forever etched in the memories who served in those places. And we honor all those who gave their lives to service for this nation. They had dreams, they had families, plans for the future, people who loved them and waited for them to come home. And yet, they were willing to put themselves in harm's way for the rest of us. That kind of sacrifice deserves more than one day of remembrance each year. But on Memorial Day especially, we pause as a nation to ensure they're never forgotten. As veterans, one of our greatest responsibilities is to remember those who cannot speak for themselves anymore, to say their names, tell their stories, make sure our future generations like yourself understand the price of freedom. To the Gold Star families, no words can fully express our gratitude for your sacrifice. This nation owes you a debt it can never repay. To my fellow veterans, thank you for your service and continued service and commitment to this country. And to young Americans listening today, never forget that freedom carries responsibilities. That liberties we enjoy today were secured by generations before us who answered that call to serve the nation when it needed them. As we leave here today and continue this Memorial Day weekend, I ask you to do one simple thing. Whether you're at a cookout, spending time with family, or simply enjoying the freedoms of everyday life, pause for 1 minute, just 1 minute, and remember that Americans who gave their lives for this, remember the Americans that gave their lives for this, for this country. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. At this time, the Ottoson Middle School Band will perform My Country 'Tis of Thee. I now invite Fronic Williamson to the stage for a reading of Remember.
Remember, someone's child, left long ago, a strange land, someone's foe, an unmarked grave, fields of green, resting quiet, just 18. Winds of freedom, wash us now, remember him, this I vow.
I now invite Nathan Sokolov for a history of TAPS.
TAPS began as a revision to signal lights out at the end of the day. Up until the Civil War, the infantry call for lights out. The music for TAPS was adapted by Union General Daniel Butterfield for his brigade in July 1862. General Butterfield was not pleased by the call for lights out, feeling that it was too formal to signal the day's end. With the help of the brigade bugler, Oliver Wilcox Norton, Butterfield created TAPS to honor his men while at camp at Harrison's Landing, Virginia, following the Seven Days Battle, which took place during the Peninsular Campaign of 1862. The new call, sounded that the night in July 1862, soon spread to other units of the Union Army and was even used by the Confederates. TAPS was made an official bugle call after the war.
Thank you. This concludes our Memorial Day assembly. We will exit with the colors, and then our honored guests will exit. At this time, I ask you all to rise. And the exit of the colors can begin. Now our ushers can escort our honored guests. After they begin, you are welcome to give everyone a round of applause. Ushers, you can begin to escort your honored guests out.